Good. I just wanted to go through a little bit about PNSQC. It's the oldest software quality conference in North America and possibly the oldest conference in the software quality conference in the world. We have an annual conference that's held every year in October in Portland, Oregon. And since the pandemic, we've also held it streaming online so people can attend virtually. And one thing about PNSQC that kind of makes it a differentiator between other software quality conferences and other developer or QA conferences is we're a nonprofit organization run entirely by volunteers. So in the US, we call that a 501c3 conference organization. So you can donate money to the conference and it's tax deductible. And also the other differentiator is that we're all volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Yinki is a volunteer. All the people presenting their technical papers have submitted and been accepted by volunteers, and they're having their papers reviewed by volunteer reviewers. So it takes a lot of people to run PNSQC, and I appreciate, as the program chair, I appreciate all the people that are involved and donate their time and efforts, energy to running the conference. Another differentiator of the conference is that we focus on the quality practitioner, which means that the things that we talk about at the conference aren't ivory tower topics. It's really about how to apply what you learn, today, this week, next month, at work or in your organization. And so that's why we're interested, for example, talking about, quality beyond testing, how to integrate QA into your Jenkins GitHub automated CI/CD build. So that's something that we hope that will, contribute to your work in your organization. And a lot of times the speakers, most of the time the speakers, we try to choose speakers who focus on their own hands-on experience. So they're telling their story from their point of view. They're not consultants or vendors. They're not trying to sell you something. They're just sharing what worked and how it can make things better. Let's see what the next slide is. So today's agenda, quality beyond testing, and I'll just do a brief introduction, or maybe I'll let Yinki take over here if you want to introduce. Yinki?
Sorry about that. I got the mute on. Yes, today we're very happy to have Sagar tell us about his work in an area that matters a lot to continuous integration and DevOps. I was lucky to find a speaker to speak on this topic, which I care a lot about, which is how to go about improving software quality beyond the perspective of the testers. And Sagar and Emmett, they put together a presentation that has to do with their work in using the GitHub Action as a replacement for other tools. And without further ado, I'll let Sagar do a more proper introduction of himself, his own background, and then to give us the necessary background for this talk and the problems that he's going to help us understand with their resolution. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Ying. Thank you, Moss, for the introduction. I have a presentation to share, so I'll share some slides with you, and I'll go through my experience. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Just a second. Let me adjust it a little bit.
And perhaps you can use the slideshow mode.
Yeah. Just want to hide the meeting controls, floating meeting controls. So yeah. Okay. Okay. Perfect. So. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So today we are going to present on Jenkins to GitHub migration for optimized processes and quality assurance. So we want to showcase how enhancing the DevOps, showcase the enhancing of developer DevOps efficiency using GitHub Actions. So today it will be myself, Sagar, and Amit will be joining in together to showcase our presentation. So first, let me introduce myself. So I am a seasoned software. I am a senior software engineer, senior staff software engineer in test at Netscope, and I have over 12 plus years of experience in software industry, spanning roles in test engineering, automation engineering, and DevOps as well. I bring knowledge and practical expertise in field of software automation as well as DevOps practices. So in my current role at Netscope, I am leading automation and DevOps efforts for Netscope endpoint team. And my responsibilities primarily include developing automation frameworks, managing cloud infrastructure deployment and execution, and then design and development of CI pipeline. Prior to Netscope, I was working at VMware, where again I played a key role in designing and development of automation framework as well as CI/CD pipeline. And I was in charge of leading the estate teams as well for VMware Workspace ONE Windows organization. So I look forward to sharing more insights on my experience with you all, and I'm glad and I'm eager and excited to present my findings with you guys. Amit, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Sagar. It was a good introduction. So my name is Amit Banushali. I am based in West Virginia. You can see on my t-shirt. So I am 22 years of experience and working as a quality assurance manager in West Virginia University. I am leading a small team where I'm specializing in automation testing and performance testing, part of DevOps as well. I have done some implementation as a CI/CD implementation, and I did my master's as well from West Virginia University in 2017, completed my business data analytics. That helps me to evaluate some of the reports based on the analytics. So that's where it's helpful for me. And I have published numerous articles, AI and machine learning as well, and serving as a reviewer for a couple of journals and also received one of the award. I think that's all about me. And I have, in my past experience, I have worked in multiple organization, which is a 500 Fortune organization, where I had the opportunity to work on multiple automation testing. And yeah, then since then I'm going on in my career path. Yeah. And I just to let you know how I know Sagar, we met in one of the conference, and in 2020, if I remember correctly. So since then, he's my good professional friend, where he and me keep on discussing some of the new technology and all the stuff. So Sagar introduced me with GitHub automation recently, and I'm trying to implement in my area as well. So it's all about learning from each other. Thank you, Sagar. That's about me.
Sure. Thank you, Amit. Yeah. So before we delve into topic, let me introduce to the firm I work for. So I work for Netscope, which is a cloud security company, and it provides a platform that provides a management platform which provides data protection and defense against cyber security threats in cloud application as well as cloud infrastructure. So it's essentially it offers multiple products like Cloud Access Security Broker, which is called CASP. It provides secure web gateways as well as ZTNA, which is Zero Trust Network Access. Since I joined, I've been part of Netscope Endpoint DLP team, which is Endpoint Data Loss Prevention team. So which is a robust security solution that safeguards sensitive data at the endpoints. which are primarily Windows and Mac machines. So it continuously monitors and controls the data transfers to prevent any unauthorized access. It ensures that the sensitive information remains within the across the devices, whether the user is on corporate network or off corporate network, it's protected. And this security endpoint security solution, it also integrates seamlessly with a Netscope's broader security platform to enhance the overall organization's data protection strategy as well as any compliance efforts that are getting. And yeah, feel free to ask questions any point of the presentation. I'll be happy to answer, or you can ask questions at the end. Yeah. I want presentation to be more interactive so that I can understand. I can address any questions or concerns while I'm presenting. So let's go next. So let me first set the context of the presentation. So let me first start with DevOps. So what is DevOps? So DevOps is essentially it's a practice that combines the software development, which is dev, and IT operations, which is ops. So it combines both development and operations to make the software development life cycle more efficient. It does it by providing continuous integration as well as continuous delivery with high software quality. The key objectives of DevOps is to enhance the collaboration between software developers, testers, and operations team by improving the communication and collaboration. And other important aspect is the automating the process. So by implementing the automation of the software development process using DevOps, we overall enhance the efficiency of software development lifecycle. And third most important point is improving the development of frequency. So in the today's world, the software releases sometimes happens every hour or every day or every month. So we want to make sure the life cycle is we deliver the software in ensuring the stability and the reliability of software. So that's a key point over here. Yeah. So now let me first define what are Jenkins and GitHubs. I'm pretty sure Jenkins, most of you people might have used it at some point in time. So Jenkins is one of the widely used tool. It's an open source software, or we can call it a platform, which facilitates the automation of various aspects of software development, including building, testing, deploying applications, or even for the continuous integration. It is one of the most widely used tools in the DevOps ecosystem, mainly due to its robustness, flexibility, extensive plugin ecosystem. So overall, if you see, right, there are around 1800 actually, not 800, 1800 community plugins available with Jenkins to use. So how Jenkins works is, so you will have a job configuration, you will have triggers, you will have build execution, then you'll have feedback. So these are some of the aspects of Jenkins, right? So job configuration is something like you pull a source code, you compile it, you run tests, you deploy the build. So that can comprise in the job configuration. Then triggers, right? So triggers can be something like when you are committing some source code to version control system like GitHub, you want to trigger a build, or it can be it can be a manual trigger, or it can be a scheduled trigger based on some cron job settings. And then comes the execution, right? So we want to execute the build, right? So that can be divided into tasks where we run some shell scripts, or we run or we use some third-party plugin to deploy the software, or you upload the software to Artifactory. So So that comprises mostly in the execution part. And then the last part is the feedback or reporting. So after the job is done, what you do is we provide the logs and reports and notifications to users. It can be in form of email, Slack notification, or any other communication tools. Um, and and some of the common use cases of Jenkins is continuous integration, continuous delivery or deployment, and automated testing. So we in and when so Jenkins can be used in any of these three use cases. So and next is GitHub Actions, right? So GitHub Actions is another fairly newer platform. It is a continuous integration and continuous delivery platform that allows developers, automation engineers to automate the software workflows within the GitHub repositories. So within the GitHub ecosystem, it allows to develop the automated software workflows. It also provides a way to build, test, and deploy code based on events in GitHub repositories, which can be like a push event, pushing code to release branch or development branch or main branch. Or it can be in form of a pull request, where you create a pull request and you want to execute some software workflows like doing a PR sanity. Or it can be based on the releases. When we create a release, we want to uh, run some automated test along with it. So these are some of the various applications of GitHub Actions. And also there is a rich ecosystem of third-party plugins, which we call it actions in GitHub terms. There are around currently there are around 20,000 third-party plug actions available for users to use. Uh, so that's what that's a brief description on GitHub Actions. Now, how it works is when compared to Jenkins, GitHub Actions like Jenkins has job configurations, GitHub Actions has workflows. So workflows are automated processes which are defined in YAML configuration uh, located within the GitHub repository. And workflows files can consist of one or more jobs. And jobs are essentially the execution steps, which can involve checking out of source code, building a product, testing a product, deploying it, or uploading it to Artifactory, or uploading it to S3. Any steps you want to do, those can be done in using jobs. And the jobs and a job is a set of steps, right? That executes probably on some runner. Each runner is an environment. I'll go through all this later, but I just wanted to give a brief description. Uh, then each job, and then at the jobs, then you have steps. Steps are the individual tasks which makes up a job, right? So steps can be as simple as shell commands. It can be a script executions, or it can be a predefined action. You can use any third-party plugin, for example. So and then what you have is so let's see some of the common use cases of GitHub Actions is continuous integration. So you can automatically build and test code changes whenever there is a push to a repository or there is a pull request created. You can do all those things. And then it can be in continuous deployment, CD, where we're deploying applications to various environments like staging, production, or it can be in automated testing, where you're running unit test, integration test, or regression test as a part of CI pipeline. Or it can be used. There are four more applications of GitHub Actions. It can be used for release automation as well. You can automatically create GitHub. You can automatically create relays within GitHub. You can tag the builds. You can generate release notes. You can publish the release artifacts. You can do code quality checks as well. Like you can create tools for something like static code analysis or even code linting, or any other quality checks you want. Yeah. So okay, now how does the Jenkins and GitHub Actions fit into DevOps, right? So the relevance is it supports CI/CD principles, which is a key to DevOps, right? So both Jenkins and GitHub's they enable continuous integration and continuous delivery, and then again it can automate tasks, integrate tools, and also enhance overall collaboration by integrating all these various tools, ranging from CI/CD tools or even reporting tools. Yeah. So all these tools, right, they play a critical role in implementing and maintaining the DevOps practices, uh, ensuring the faster, more reliable, and efficient software testing and delivery. Any questions or concerns so far? Okay, then we can go further. Yeah. So
Sorry, I wanted to jump in for just a minute.
yes.
On back on the previous slide, you were saying the CI/CD principles. Are you going to go into that in more detail, or?
Yes. We will we'll go into depth of while presenting the migration, I will go through the some of the principles. I'll give some examples as well.
Okay, good, thanks.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, hey.
Hey, Damien.
Any particular reason you're focused on Jenkins and GitHub Actions versus some of the other CI/CD tools out there? I mean, besides just the limitations of time and.
Yeah. So the essence of this presentation is more on the case study at my current workplace, where we migrated from Jenkins to GitHub Actions. I'll go over some details as well on why we chose GitHub Actions.
Thanks.
Question was more on the other tools other than Jenkins.
Yeah, we had explored drone as well for CI as well, but I will I can go over some details over it, but I don't have presentation slides to support that. Yeah, but we had taken into consideration drone as well. Yeah. So this I'll try to showcase the problem statement based on how we were using Jenkins at Netscope. So at Netscope, we were a team of QA. We had multiple teams of QA, multiple dev teams, and also DevOps. They were using Jenkins, and the way they used Jenkins was differing quite a bit. So QAs were mostly involved in test execution. They're using Jenkins for test execution. Dev and DevOps were mostly dev side. They were mostly into continuous integration side, and DevOps were more focused on the continuous deployment. So test execution varied a lot as well within test execution. So we had some scripts which were run on Windows nodes, targeting Windows environments. Then there were scripts running on Linux nodes, targeting Mac environments, and there were some containerized executions as well. So it was used quite. The use case of Jenkins was quite varied. In total, we had about 25 plus third-party plugins which we were using. And another key aspect was within matter of 3 years since I joined Netscope, the size of the team, the overall Netscope team had doubled. So which led to the primary driver is more number of features being developed, more features being tested.
Підключився на безплатну конференцію з цього Києва. Ти замітив?
Any questions? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay. So yeah, so maintaining the server with growing number of needs in terms of number of tests being executed to number of features being deployed or integrated. So we were facing some server maintenance challenges. And another key aspect was the security, right? We don't want to compromise the quality while we do that, given that Netscope is a cybersecurity company. For us, the security was of utmost importance. Another key was identity and access management, right? So Jenkins, we had our own we had our user credentials for users, right? We had to integrate our own LDAP into it, and maintaining that was also troublesome. So there were multiple problems which we faced. So I'll go over those. Some of the pain points which we faced while using Jenkins. So one of the foremost was the maintenance overhead, right? So if you see, right, Jenkins, setting up Jenkins can be quite complex. It needs some significant initial configuration and customization to fit the needs of developers, QAs, and DevOps. And again, we need regular patching, regular updating to ensure that new features are added, as well as the security patches. And if there are any bug fixes, we want to make sure we have those patched as well. So this requires like continuous monitoring and action. And again, periodically we have to do some backups and recoveries as well to make sure to prevent any data loss, um, and which adds again to a maintenance task, right? And then again, resource management was another another thing which we had observed. So we had to critically ensure that there is enough resources on the Jenkins side in form of CPU, memory, and storage to make sure it runs efficiently, especially with the growing number of jobs and builds. And so what happens is with high maintenance effort, right? It consumes significant administrative time and resources. Uh, and so you're diverting your attention from some of the more critical tasks. So another thing was its limited user interface, right? So Jenkins user interface is quite outdated, and it's being it is a less intuitive design when compared to other modern CI/CD tools. Uh, user experience sometimes also can be cumbersome, especially for somebody who is new to Jenkins. Um, and also the customization, right? So customization of UI specific for the organization needs is quite limited, uh, and it requires like a kind of expertise or familiarity with Jenkins structure to add any of these customizations, uh, and we potentially will need additional plugins. And third point is the scalability challenges, right? So if we, let's say, for example, we start up ground up and we have single server, right? So there is a single server bottleneck involved over here. So with the growing number of jobs and all, running it on a single server, it's a huge bottleneck in terms of performance. Let's say you distribute the builds by adding multiple agents. Then again, you will have to manage all these agents and the configurations on the agents. And that again takes up a significant effort. And again, resource allocation also comes into picture with scalability. And fourth point I want to cover is the security concerns, right? So many of the Jenkins plugins which we use are community developed and may not be regularly updated. Sometimes some of them are not managed for years. It will pose I mean quite a bit of security risk. And again, sometimes some of the misconfigurations when using some of the plugins can expose some security vulnerability as well. Then another thing is secrets management of Jenkins. Sometimes we do store Jenkins in I mean some of the secrets in form of directly into jobs or configuration files, and this can lead to security breaches. And another thing is for access control, right? Managing the user permissions. Lavanya, do you have any question? Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
See, with all these pain points, that is why they have a separate DevOps team, right? Usually. So what is the scope of QA moving to a DevOps?
Yeah, I'll address those concerns as well
Okay.
for
Okay.
this.
Mhm.
Um, so again, in terms of access controls, right? The authorized personnel will have to so let's say when a new user is getting added to organization, right? It's um, the Jenkins administrator will have to ensure the right permissions are given and all. So it's additional headache on the side. And if it's not secure, if it's not done properly, it can lead to some of those security breaches as well. And again, dependency of plugins, right? So Jenkins, so the bare metal Jenkins was not good enough for our use case at Netscope. So we were dependent heavily on plugins to extend its functionality, right from email reporting to Slack notification, uh, to uploading artifacts to S3 or even Artifactory. We had to rely on third-party plugin. So and over a period of time, right? When there are multiple plugins added, right? There will be a time when you'll run into compatibility issues where not all plugins are compatible with the given versions of Jenkins. You might have to for some version of plugin it might need older version of Jenkins. For some plugin it might need a newer version of Jenkins. So and again, the plugins, right, are not equally or well maintained or secure. So finding a reliable and high quality plugin can be sometimes challenging. So these are some of the pain points we have faced when using Jenkins. Yeah. So the solution we found was in GitHub Actions. So GitHub Actions set. So with GitHub Actions, you can do automated testing and CI/CD. It allows you to automate your testing process. It enables continuous integration and deployment. Hello, sure. Good.
Yeah, Sagar. So in the previous slide, you said some may need older versions, some may need new versions, right? So how do you go with that? So do you uninstall the new version and go back to the older version, fix that issue, and then come back? How do you do that?
So usually what we do is, let's say if there is a X plugin which requires Jenkins version number 1, for example, and there is a Y plugin which requires version number 2. Right? So what we do is we try to move to version number 2 because we don't want to stick to older version.
Correct.
But sometimes some plugins they will stop working, and some plugins will continue to work with newer versions. So
Okay.
these are the pain points we face, right? So sometimes the plugin, the older plugin which is not maintained over a period of time will not be compatible. So we ran into those as well.
Right. Okay.
So there were about 12 or 13 QE teams, different QE teams, service teams. They were using this. So one team would try to upgrade the Jenkins server to newer version, and the second team got impacted by that because they were using
Okay.
plugin which was older. Yeah.
Okay.
Just to add, that is the challenge between Jenkins. Automation we normally do to make it faster, our process of testing, but
Your volume is kind of low, so I don't know if it was a microphone issue or something. I don't know if I'm the only one, but
sorry. Is it better now?
Yes. Yeah, it is good now.
Okay. So just to add here is that's the reason the Jenkins is kind of little outdated because we are facing challenges. Basically, we do the testing to solve our testing problems where we want to maintain the cost and make it faster to production. But because of all these challenges in Jenkins, that's the comparison we are trying to show here, where again, how the GitHub is helping us to solve that problem. Thank you.
Thanks. So it does. So it does what Jenkins does, right? So it can execute the test. It can do the CI/CD for you. But what it brings along with it is what we are looking for. So it has a seamless third-party tools integration. So GitHub Actions, they provide extensive integration capabilities with third-party tools through its marketplace, and you can write your own custom actions as well. So this flexibility, right? What does is it will allow you to easily incorporate tools for let's say, for example, for quality checks, for security scans, for deployment to various platforms, uh, or even reporting as well. So these are various things which this third-party tool integration does for us. And also so there are about 18,000 GitHub actions are available in the marketplace, GitHub marketplace, and they are all curated by GitHub. Yep. And there is a list of verified creators as well. So this ensures the quality and security quality of the plugin available. Yep. And another thing is scalability, right? So GitHub Actions is designed in a way that it scales with your project growth. So whether you're adding more features or expanding your test suite, you can configure workflows to accommodate this increasing complexity and workload. With concepts like parallelism and metrics builds, it further enhances like the scalability of by letting the multiple jobs run parallelly. I mean concurrently. Yeah. So another important aspect is security, right? We want our solution to be secure. So GitHub Actions, it prioritizes security through its workflows. So Actions workflows, they run in isolated environments, and also GitHub Actions also provides its own secret management for secrets management. Nikhil, you have a question?
Hey, yeah, once you give the major differences, I would also like to know if with the scalability and do we have an option to stay completely on-prem, or do we go completely on GitHub on GitHub hosted services? And how does that impact in cost? Does that significantly raise cost versus Jenkins? Or does it stay same, or does it actually go down, right? So if you could throw some light on that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So GitHub Actions, they provide their own set of runners as well, GitHub runners they call it, as well as you can come up with your own self-hosted runners, which will be on-prem. So GitHub Actions, they provide the flexibility to use either one of them. Of course, when you use the GitHub hosted runners, it comes with a cost. So it has a so there is a on the GitHub Actions website itself, you'll see the cost of, let's say, running each day with a given compute requirements. You can do that as well. And then again, coming to security, right? So secrets management, they provide, and I'll go over those Nikhil, I'll go over those GitHub action runners as well in detail later on. So additionally, right, with secrets management, you can store the credentials, you can store the credentials, tokens, or API keys using the secrets management, built-in secrets management. And the actions which we use, right, the third-party actions, they are subjected to GitHub security policies and controls. So this ensures the secure development, integration, testing, and deployment. So then again, streamlined access control, right? So GitHub Actions, right? It integrates seamlessly with GitHub access control. So you can define sets of rules like view permissions, edit permissions, or run workflow permissions at repo level as well as at organization level. And so this fine-grained access control, right? This ensures that only authorized personnel can only modify the workflows, can manage secrets, and can execute actions. This overall, enhances the security and compliance as well.
Cigar, sorry, I have no icon to raise my hand. So are you, with all the problems with Jenkins, can you use GitHub in place of Jenkins?
Yeah, you can use GitHub Actions in place of Jenkins. So I'll go over the migration as well, migration efforts as well as how we did it, and I'll go over some key aspects of GitHub Actions as well.
Okay, thank you.
So that's in short the solution which we chose. So okay, so I'll give you the brief introduction on the components of GitHub. So GitHub Actions comprises of events. Events are nothing but triggers, which runs the workflow. So events can be a pull request. It can be a merge to a branch, a merge to a release branch. It can be anything like it can be even a manual dispatch. It can be a scheduled event, or it can be a commit message to a PR or a issue. So then comes the workflows. So workflow is a like automated process. It can be made using one job or multiple jobs. And then jobs are so there can be one or more jobs within workflows, and they run individual tasks that we can run it either sequentially or parallelly. And then each jobs are formed of steps. Steps are the individual actions or tasks performed within a job. And then action is a kind of a predefined functionality, or we call it a plugin, right? So it's essentially, it can execute a container image, or it can be a JavaScript based action which can do we can execute a task like a GitHub checkout, or it can be setting up a Node.js environment, or it can be posting a message to Slack. So all this comprises of action. And then comes the runners. So runners are the environment where we execute a job. So job can be anything, a building job where you build a software, or it can be a deployment job, or it can be a test execution job. And this can be run on container, it can be run on workstation, it can be run on VM. And again, the bifurcation is it can run on the GitHub hosted runners as well as it can run on self-hosted runners as well. So so the workflows, right? Let me go through events first. Yeah. So events, right? As I discussed earlier, so it can be a push event, as you can see over here. So this is on push to a main branch. So this is the terminology which we use. These are the keywords which we use. On push to branches. This one, it will run the workflow, or it can be scheduled one. It can be on a cron job like this. Then it can be on a pull request to main branch, or it can be on a deployment, or it can be a manual dispatch as well. So there are multiple ways you can have your workflow run using specific triggers. And there are still more number of triggers. I just highlighted some of the common ones. So it can be even when a label is added to a GitHub pull request, or it can be based on let's say on a GitHub issue, if you put a comment, you can create a workflow as well, some automated workflow. So it can be done in n number of ways. Then comes the workflow, which will get executed on a given event, right? So workflow is written using YAML configuration files. So essentially, the steps which you execute are put together in a YAML configuration, and these are easy to write, easy to replicate as well. So, for example, in this workflow, right, all we are doing is we are accomplishing. So here the trigger is pushed to a main branch, and this is the job we are running. So here what we are doing is we are using a GitHub hosted runner, which is Ubuntu VM. Here we are checking out the source code using this GitHub's built-in action, and then we are running our test as well. We are running the running our build, npm build. Yep. So workflows are divided into jobs, right? And this jobs, right? We can so this jobs will be comprising of one or more steps which can perform individual tasks. So here, for example, so jobs will have its own name. Then you need to specify where you want to run the job and what are the steps involved in the job. And the steps are executed sequentially, but the jobs can run parallelly. Yeah. So for example, the same example I have, but this one I want to emphasize on where it runs on. So we can have you can run it on self-hosted runner. Again, the steps which are involved over here is you can use the steps can be custom action or a built-in action or even a third-party action, and then you can run the build.
So I think one of the question Moss is asking on a chat, Sagar, is can you give one example of a use case where you trigger something on a Git pull?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Just
so if you take this, right, pull request, right? So if you take this code base, pull request code base, and you append to here, then this workflow will run when pull request is created.
right.
So it's all pluggable, customizable YAML configuration files. It can be repeated. You can repeat it across multiple workflows as well. Let's say, for example, you want to build the product and run the unit tests for every merge to main branch or release branch, as well as you want to run the same set of things for even a pull request. You can create two different workflows as well, or you can combine. You can have one workflow can have two different triggers as well. For example, in this case, I have push to main branch. I can add one more trigger for pull request as well, and that will run based on pull request. Or you can add another trigger for a manual dispatch, and you can run it manually as well from the GitHub action from GitHub UI. So it can be so given workflow file can have multiple triggers, and even it can have single trigger. Yeah.
Right.
Thanks.
Sure. Sorry, I'm not seeing. I'm presenting the screen, so I don't see the questions. So feel free to. Thanks, Amit, for mentioning that.
All right.
Yeah. So coming back to steps, right? So steps are individual tasks. It can be as simple as executing some shell commands. It can be running some scripts, calling some scripts, or invoking some reusable actions like third-party actions or even built-in actions. So this is like an overall example if you see it in a job. So this can relate to any of the product build and test, right? So it's something like here this job runs on self-hosted runner. It uses we are checking out our source code. We are setting up we are setting up a Node.js environment, and then we are installing the dependency. We are running the tests. Then we're building the product. Sorry, it should have been building the product and running the test. My bad. And you can, and steps can be conditional as well. So you can call it, let's say, for example, if my GitHub reference is main branch, then I want to deploy it to staging environment. So steps can be conditional as well. You want to make sure the step is run only if the condition is fulfilled. For example, let's say if you have multiple triggers. So for example, you have push to main branch as well as release branch. In case of release branch, you want to push it to production environment. And if you want to, on main branch, you want to push it to staging environment, you can have conditional step to address that. So now comes the actions, right? So actions are, so these are the, from the Jenkins terminology, these are plugins. So you can have your built-in actions as well. GitHub provides its own sets of built-in actions. One of the primary one is source code checkout. Then there is community actions as well. There are about, in total, of including both built-in action and community action, there are about 18,000 GitHub actions available in marketplace. So here so this is one of the built-in action example. This is how it looks like. So this will let you check out the source code. Given a simple example, but you can do it can be parameter. It can take in some inputs as well in form of, like, let's example, you want to check out a specific branch. You want to set the depth of your checkout. You can do all these things as well. And then community actions. Here in example, for example, I'm using AWS provided GitHub action for deploying to AWS Lambda, right? So I can deploy my AWS Lambda function using this GitHub action. Then it can be your own custom action. So you can, if you know a JavaScript, probably you can write your own custom GitHub actions as well, which can do any custom steps. So this actions, right? It can take in input and it will give you some outputs as well. So within steps, right? If you want to share the output, right? You can share that output as well. So for example, you do a build event and you publish some, let's say, build number, and you want to use the build number in test step. You can output that as well, and you can use that in the next step as well, or in a different job as well. So variables can be shared across in between the steps as well as in between the jobs as well. You can call other workflow as well from the workflow. So with actions, right? So given that Netscope is a cybersecurity company, the security is our utmost concern, right? So we want to make sure the actions, third-party actions which we use are secure enough. So GitHub Actions provide this settings or permission levels. So by default, it sets to allow all actions. So you can add any action you want and use it, but admin can restrict it to use only enterprise. Use it only in the enterprise workflows, or only use the enterprise actions, or if the action is created by a verified creator, we want to use only those actions. So GitHub provides this flexibility. You can also provide, admin can also set, let's say, some 10 or 12 known plugins, known actions, and you can create a list, and we can use only one of those. So you can do it in a comma separated list, or it can be from a verified creator, or it can be any action, or only enterprise actions you want to use. So you can control the permissions of what third-party actions we want to use.
Sorry to interrupt, Sagar. Dr. Yong, Moss, is it okay if we go a little longer here?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it was scheduled. I don't remember if it was scheduled till 1:30
Okay.
or not, but yeah, we're
Okay.
recording this. We'll go up until 1:30.
Okay. Sounds
It
good.
is it is scheduled until 1:30.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, even if sometime with the verified creators as well, sometime the action can have some security flaws as well, right? So So there's one common practice which I usually do, or is what I do is this GitHub from the verified creator set, they'll share the repo, GitHub repo, right? So you can fork from the GitHub repo. You can run your own security analysis, static code analysis onto that custom action, onto that third-party actions, and you can see if there is any code breaches, some breaches or security, to see if there is some security concerns, and you can get that addressed as well. You can, let's say, if you want to raise an issue and get them addressed, or you can fix it on your own, and you want to use that particular release only. That also you can do that from the forked GitHub. So as you can see, right, in this case, if you see it, we are using V2 version of Actions plugin, right? But in this case, we're using, this is the commit hash. So we can even you can use the plugin from your forked environment as well, GitHub fork as well. And you can, and this ensures that given that this commit hash is unique, immutable, right? This will ensure that it runs only your version of that plugin, or your version of patched plugin. Yeah. So it does provide flexibility in that respect, and it can add another step to a security concern. Yeah. So then comes the runners, right? So runners, it can, so there are essentially two. These are the execution environments, right, where your workflows or actions run. So these runners, they have a responsibility to execute the steps which are defined in your workflow, and given the necessary resources, right? So there are GitHub, they provide their own runners, set of runners, self-hosted runners. So it can be virtual environments. So they have pre-configured virtual environments for Linux. I think all three major platforms: Linux, macOS, and Windows. So these runners are hosted by GitHub and are available to use for free, but they come with billable hours. So based on the usage, you'll be charged, and they can come with some pre-installed app software tools as well. Let's say, for example, you want to use you want to have Node.js setup, or you want to have Visual Studio setup, or you want to have Java runtime setup on your machine. So it comes with those as well if you want. Some of the popular softwares are supported, and again, so every time you use the GitHub hosted runner, it comes with a clean setup, so you don't have to worry about maintenance as well. And let's say, for example, you don't want to use the GitHub hosted runners, then you can use the self-hosted runner as well, where you can so I mean, adding the self-hosted runner, I've done it multiple times. There is only 3-4 lines of, there are 3 or 4 steps which need to be executed, and it will set up the GitHub hosted runner. It takes literally a couple of minutes to add a self-hosted runner. So self-hosted runner will be like your on-prem solution, where you don't want to go outside your premises and perform CI/CD or testing. In that case, you can use the self-hosted runner. So why you want mainly use self-hosted runner? When you want flexibility, right? You want to customize your operating system, or you want to install a software of your choice, or you want to configure in a certain way to meet your demand. In that case, you use self-hosted runner. So now again, you can add so runners. You can have individual runners. You can have labels and groups both. So labels we usually use when you want to label a particular host runner, right? Self-hosted runner. For example, I have 10 VMs. Out of them, 5 has Visual Studio 2022 and 5 has Visual Studio 2019, for example. And let's say for my X product, I want to it needs Visual Studio 2022, right? In that case, I will on my job, right? Let me share. Yeah, so for example, over here, right? So I can provide a label over here that, hey, please run it on Visual Studio 2022 only. So you can use that. That's how you can use the label. Then again, another thing is, let's say if you have a CD job, right, and you have different sets of configuration for a staging group or production group, then you can add the label accordingly as well. Hey, I want to run this workflow on the production group of runners. So that will do that for you. Yeah. So there is so there is a lot of flexibility over here on how, when, and what to what we want. No, any questions or concerns? And
Yes,
if, yeah,
hi, this is Yinki.
hey, yes.
The size of the development team that you use these tools for, about how big are the teams, and is there like a crossover, like more beneficial to use this tool as opposed to Jenkins when the team get to be bigger, because you mentioned scalability?
Yes. So our engineering group, roughly right now it is, I don't have exact numbers, but it can be anywhere ranging from 300 to 400 engineers in total. So we had two instances of Jenkins we were using, one for QA, one for CI/CD. So that was the scale which we were operating on earlier. And yeah, with GitHub Actions, it got simpler because I'll go over the points as well, why it got simpler with GitHub Actions.
And your development team size is what is the team size of a development team?
Yeah, so we usually have overall ratio of 3:1. So I would say roughly around 3 developers per 1 QA.
Okay.
So there might be around 100,
Okay.
150 QAs and about 300, 350 developers.
And these developers are scattered everywhere? Are they geographically? Are they primarily in North America, or?
They're geographically scattered. We have presence over here in US, Europe, Asia, everywhere.
Thank you.
So another key concept to introduce is the secrets management. So GitHub provides its own built-in secrets management, and the secrets can be stored at different levels as well. So it can be a repository level secret, it can be organization level secret, or it can be an environment level secret. So with secrets management, right? GitHub. Secrets are these are encrypted environment variables that you can create in your repo or use it in a repo, and they are designed to be secure. And they're stored they're not stored anywhere in plain text so we're not exposing anywhere in plain text, and it can be kind of so it can be referenced in a workflow using the GitHub Actions secret. This syntax, not secret, sorry. So you can reference it using this syntax whenever you want to use any secret. And, so usually the best practices, right, with the whenever you're handling secrets, right, we want to make sure they're utilized, they're done in the right way, right? So when using GitHub Actions secrets management, right, we want to make sure the scope of the secrets, right? So we should limit the secrets to only what is necessary for the workflow to function, and we should not be storing secrets at different levels. It's not required. So, and when creating this, right, use the principle of least privilege. So in that way, you want to ensure that we are not distributing the secrets unnecessarily. And yeah, overall, in terms of best practices, right, we should always ensure that we rotate our secrets regularly. We make sure that we set the expiration date for sensitive credentials and update it to mitigate any kind of security risks. And also, additionally, right? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. So GitHub Actions, they provide kind of audit logging as well. So it provides audit log on secrets usage. So this kind of lets you monitor and review how your secrets are being assessed and used within the workflows. So we have that granularity as well.
So Sagar, you released the secrets. Just kidding.
So again, to reiterate, right? So the GitHub Actions, it provides secrets management, which provides a secure way of handling sensitive information within workflows. And by leveraging the secrets management, you can enhance the overall security, and you can comply with the best practices when it comes to software development life cycle, securing software development life cycle. So now comes the key piece. Yeah. So these are some of the steps we kind of followed when we were migrating from Jenkins to GitHub Actions. So first, what we did was we thoroughly analyzed our current Jenkins setup, including all the pipelines, any of the freestyle projects, or any configurations. We also documented its dependencies, any custom scripts or plugins which we are using. And also we identified any of the external dependencies or integrations with the Jenkins, right? Like example, Slack integration or a Jira integration or Atlassian integration. So we made sure we note down all this third-party tools and services which we use. And so why? Because with this, we need to address this during the migration process. Then we did a careful planning on the migration. So we defined our own goals. Let's say, for example, we want to first migrate all the automated test jobs, or and then we want to migrate some CI components and then the CD components. So we clearly planned our migration. So and while doing that, again, when planning that, we evaluated the GitHub Actions capabilities, right? So we familiarized with capabilities of and features supported by GitHub Actions. We got a basic understanding of the workflow syntax, list of available actions, and any limitations or restrictions that may impact our migration. And then when it came to porting of this Jenkins job, right? So we had to, so Jenkins set usually will have it's a pipeline, Jenkins pipeline, or you can have freestyle project, right? So in case of Jenkins pipeline, we were translating this Jenkins pipeline into GitHub Actions workflows. So we did that part, and then we migrated the plugins and custom scripts with GitHub Actions equivalent actions. Then what we did was we first ensured that we run our workflows and gauge the functionality and the performance on the staging environment. And once it was done, then we deployed this workflows for the production environment as well. And we monitored again and optimize the workflows post migration as well as we did. Any questions or concerns? Yeah.
When you're all done here with this project, would you still keep any Jenkins builds around?
Yeah, we did keep around for a month or so, just to make sure that we didn't have to ensure the continuity of our deliverables. Yeah.
But there wasn't any need to, like, let's say that you had a totally separate server that you wanted to use for, I don't know, regression testing something. You could leave Jenkins on that. You didn't. The end result was you wanted to eliminate Jenkins everywhere or migrate away from it.
Yes, slowly migrate away from this.
Okay.
Excuse
So-
me. When you deploy to AWS clouds, do you use the AWS DevOps tools, or you would actually use the GitHub action instead?
So most of our our infrastructure was on on-prem.
Cloud?
On-prem.
Okay.
So
I see.
yeah, so it was fairly easy, but even if let's say if infrastructure is on AWS, right, GitHub, right, all we need, so GitHub, right, what we did is we don't, like, unlike Jenkins, right, Jenkins will have servers and runners, right? With GitHub Actions, right, there is no concept of server, right? Server is the GitHub itself. So GitHub provides its own, it provides the server, right? So you don't have to maintain that. So that part you don't have to worry with migration.
So this can be on a AWS cloud as well,
Yeah,
deployed in. Yeah.
So any runner which you have added, let's say, for example, you have your AWS setup, right, where you have set of Jenkins runners, agents running, right? As long as it's reachable over internet, you can using some simple steps provided by GitHub Actions, you can add those same runners as a GitHub Action runner as well.
Right, right. And I think Jen asked one of the question was, can you give one example where you need to use the secret?
Oh yeah, I have plenty of examples for that. Yeah, so
Just one.
yeah. So for example, right, when we want to post it using Slack, let's say you want to post a message using Slack, right? Let's say, for example, when your deployment is complete or your test is complete, you want to post the results to Slack, right? That's when for the posting it to Slack, you need a Slack token. So all of our teams wanted to make sure we use the same Slack token. So we had this Slack token added at the org level that was shared across different teams. That was one of the secret we use. Then another common ones are API keys. So anywhere we use API keys, we can store it as well. Or it can be like your AWS credentials. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
So now I'll go through case studies. So one of the case study I want to highlight is our nightly build pipeline for Netscope Endpoint DLP client. So this client runs on both Mac and Windows OS. So our Jenkins implementation looked something like this. So it was kind of pipeline code it was in a separate repo. So this pipeline code was written in using Groovy syntax. It was a Groovy pipeline. It had several steps, including build trigger, source code checkout, building of the client, running the unit test, tagging build, and release, bad test, running the build acceptance test, artifactory upload, and email notification. So these were one of the primary. These were the steps which we had for our Jenkins implementation. In each step, we're using written using Groovy pipeline syntax. That we ported it to GitHub Action workflow. So the workflow. So workflow had we had defined the trigger, which was triggered on push event, and we had also a cron job actually. I didn't add that. So we had cron job as well as on push event. We wanted, if there there is no code check-in, we want to make sure we publish a nightly build. So that was triggered, and then that was the trigger defined in form of an push event, and then our source code checkout was done using built-in action. Our building of the solution was using PowerShell script. On Windows platform, on Windows it was shell. On the macOS platform, we had different runner, and it was using shell script. And then we ran the unit tests, which were C++ unit tests, which were run again using PowerShell script. On Windows side and on the Mac side, we run using Bash or shell scripts. Yeah. Then we tagged the build and release based on which branch it was pushed to, using built-in action. So there is an action for tagging the release as well, readily available. And then we triggered the bat test run using Windows command prompt on the Windows side and shell on the Linux on the Mac OS side. And then we were uploading our build artifacts to Artifactory. That was done using JFrog third-party action plugin. And then email notification, we use third-party action send email, which is by a verified creator. And then for the Slack notification, we use Slack provided Slack GitHub action. So overall, so in terms of lines of codes, right? Let's say, for example, lines of code, right? The Groovy script, right, which we used with the Jenkins implementation, had about close to 1,000 lines of code, give or take. And then with the GitHub Actions, the workflow file, right? The total number of lines of code was around 140 or 150. So yeah, and again, it's very simple, easy to read. Like if you, for example, we say this is very easy to use compared to Groovy script, easy to read as well as easy to understand the flow, and easy to replicate or add more steps as well.
Just FYI, we have 15 minutes.
Yes, sorry, I'll quickly go over it. So another case study was for the Jenkins implementation of our automated test execution for the endpoint client. So the product which we were running some automated test as well. So that was a Jenkins freestyle project, and we used some third-party plugins for doing our for running the tests or for aggregating results or email or Slack notification. So for the GitHub equivalent, again, we had a workflow file, and this workflow file in total was around 80 lines of code, 80 lines of YAML configuration file, and where we had triggered in form of a cron job or schedule trigger, which was run on Ubuntu Linux VM, self-hosted. Again, same built-in action for source code checkout, shell script to execute the test, and email notification using third-party action, and Slack notification using same third-party actions. Yeah. So some of the efficiency gains, right? What we accomplished with this, right, was we streamlined the CI/CD workflows. So with GitHub Actions, it's one integrated platform. As I shared earlier, right, the configuration file, it shrink from a Groovy pipeline script comprising of hundreds of lines of code to about 150 to even less than 100 lines of configuration file. So we simplified the configuration of our CI/CD as well as testing. Both configuration, we kind of reduced it, streamlined, and then the built-in action set, it helped a lot. So like, for example, the tagging of build or tagging of release, or even creating the release, that was done using a custom script in Jenkins. But with the GitHub Actions, we could do it with a single with using the third-party action. Yeah. No, sorry, built-in action. Yeah. Then again, with GitHub Actions, we could optimize the workflows further, and which led to the faster execution times. And the collaboration and visibility increased actually quite a bit drastically, because being a unified platform, right? So the test execution, building of CI, deploying of the deploying CI/CD and deploy CI and CD, both aspects, as well as testing, were all done within the GitHub ecosystem. So that led to a higher level of collaboration and visibility. At least from my experience working with devs, right? Devs, they prefer everything. They like GitHub, they hate Jenkins overall. So they loved this aspect of it. They liked that everything was done in GitHub. They could trigger the builds, they could trigger the tests, they could trigger the deployments easily just using GitHub. And also debugging was also quite easy because it's all within the same ecosystem of GitHubs. And again, we improved from the prospect of reliability and security. Access control we didn't need to maintain any access control because it was already done, handled when we handled the GitHub action, when we handled the GitHub repo access. We just leveraged that over here. And built-in secrets management helped us a lot as well in storing and distributing of secrets effectively. Any questions? So overall, we increased our efficiency by 35%. So from migrating from migrating to GitHub Actions, right? We optimize the workflows. I mean, our GitHub workflows let us execute the our scale. So execute of scale of our execution. Scale of our CI/CD as well as test execution with optimized workflows, and then it simplified the configuration, which led to some time saving as well. Increased the overall developer productivity due to its better integration and less context switching. Right, you don't have to switch between Jenkins to GitHub back and forth. Let's say when you're debugging an issue, right? You get a failure message in your email, then you look at the Jenkins to see what failed, and then you again look at the source code in your repo to see what failed. So this context switching was less with GitHub, all was within the GitHub ecosystem. Then overall operational cost was reduced. Firstly, because we had one unified platform, we didn't have to maintain the server. The server was provided by Jenkins itself. I mean, Jenkins, GitHub provides the server, so we don't have to worry about the operational cost of maintaining the server. And overall, right, if you see, right, how we came up with this 35% is for every 100 hours we spent on, so we gauged the performance and performance of using the number of hours we spent. So when we were using Jenkins, let's say for every 100 hours of Jenkins, we were spending only 65 hours with GitHub Actions. So that is overall. We increased our efficiency by about 35%. So to conclude, right? So what we achieved with this migration is self-contained CI/CD pipeline within the GitHub ecosystem. Then we also set up reliable and stable test execution using GitHub Actions. And then additionally, some of the things were not available with Jenkins. We did it with GitHub Actions, where automated code linting. So GitHub Actions provide third-party actions for many of the popular languages, like let's say, for example, C++, Java, Go, or Python. You can do automatic code linting as well on your PR. And also we added a kind of additional scripts as additional workflows as well for maintaining the GitHub stale branches and PRs. So here what we did was we had a workflow file which was scheduled to run every 3 months, which will notify the user that your branch is 3 months old and there is no update on it. And also we had another workflow file where we, after 6 months of stale branch, we used to delete the branch automatically using the GitHub Actions. And overall, yeah, we achieved about 35% efficiency, increased efficiency with adopting to GitHub Actions. Some of the key concepts, some of the key points which led us to choose GitHub Actions over other CI/CD pipelines was first thing was it was integrated platform all in one. Second thing, from the security perspective, we like the GitHub Actions marketplace and the additional security it provides by its vetting of its own. GitHub does its own vetting, as well as we can do our own vetting and security analysis on the plugins which we use. And we can also update the plugins based on our thing by forking it out and then using it as well. So all this, a couple of, and then again, secrets management was the third aspect, which helped us eliminating the need of any third-party secrets management tool like 1Password or HashiCorp Vault. So everything was dealt within the GitHub. So these were some of the primary strong points of Jenkins, GitHub Actions over Jenkins, which led us to migrate to GitHub Actions.
Moss, would it be okay to give people a chance to leave if they need to, because it's now at 1:30, but if our speakers are available, maybe they can stick around for more Q&As.
Sure, happy to answer any questions.
Yes. We can give them a nice round of online applause. Thank you for your presentation, Siddhar and Amit.
Thanks much.
Thank you for providing this platform.
And I would like to thank Dr. Wong and Moss for reviewing and letting us know the improvements on our presentation. So thank you very much.
Great. We may have missed a question that's posted on the chat window. If anyone have questions related to these presentations or the work of our two speakers, please ask now. Maybe I'll ask a quick one for Amit. How is this type of tools being used at the West Virginia University?
So that's a very good question, Dr. Wong. We are using Jenkins, and this is where I was learning from Sagar when I learned about this one, and I'm trying to make a prototype and seeing if that works for us as well. For little prototype, I feel much confident because that is helping in efficiency increase and reducing the cost. So probably if budget is approved, then maybe we will plan to switch over to GitHub as well. Enterprise edition.
These would be projects kind of in the university's enterprise systems, or these are like systems in specific academic departments, or what might be the best kind of first candidate for your university systems?
That is academic. Yes. So applications which we are using for a third party, of course, vendors we have for providing the application for our academic side. So to test that, we are using this automation. Jenkins basically is configured, and we are in a DevOps environment, we are using that. But after getting to know about this one, I'm still working on this. Hopefully, if the results are better, then we will plan to switch or something.
Great.
And if I just add more, like what kind of application I'm talking about, that is, if I think you must be little aware, like Banner, eCampus, all those words, university special words or jargons we use, that are the application names. Not very open or known worldwide, but most of if any students are there, those people know this terminology, what I'm using, because they are the students and they use this kind of applications. I believe you would also know about it.
I happen to know because I have some connection with universities.
Exactly.
They use different platforms for supporting delivery of educational courses and support homework assignments and things like that. So
I thought so.
Yeah, that's great. And maybe another question for our main speaker, Sagar. Your company, the security products that's being developed, sounds like a very big team, 300-400 engineers. What industries do these tools tend to be used in? Are they like financial, or are they IT in general, or is there a specific vertical industry that you work with your tools?
Yeah, so Netscope, right? Earlier it started off with just as a security broker, but that it added more capabilities like secure web gateway, then ZTNA, zero trust network access. So it does monitor clouds, and it also it can monitor and prevent any web traffics. Uh, so overall, right, it's a kind of platform, right? So it can be used for any firms. It doesn't have to be just IT. So our customers range from financial companies, banking to healthcare, and even we have some of the federal clients as well. So yeah.
Any government customers?
Uh, yes, unfortunately, I cannot share the list of the customers, but yeah, we do have some federal customers. We are FedRAMP compliant, yeah. So yeah, we have some there as well.
Understood.
And we are still private company, so yeah, some of the informations are confidential. So yeah, but overall, it provides us not just to any particular vertical. It provides provides to uh, any industry. In fact, yeah, it can be even so. Some of our customers are even oil and gas as well, and even manufacturing plants as well.
I'm going to ask a question that may seem a little bit off base, but the company Puppet Labs is kind of based here in Portland. How are their DevOps tools related or not related to the tools that you discussed today?
Puppet, yeah, okay. Puppet Labs, yeah. Puppet Labs is more on the configuration, right? On the configuration of environment, right? So it more aligns with on the cloud management and configuration side, right? So I mean, as a Netscope, it's a cybersecurity firm. So we try to what do you call we try to our company specializes in just providing the secure edge, a secure network for any of the firms. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
Hey, Sagar, any chance you can talk about the total cost? Where did it go down with GitHub Actions or did it go up? I know numbers would be confidential, but still, is it a net saving or
So I don't know the operational cost, but I can so it freed up some of the cloud resources. So we had about in total we had about at least 8 or 10 servers hosted for just for the Jenkins, right? So those we didn't have to maintain at all. So that was one of the compute requirements reduced quite a bit. That was one aspect. Other aspects was we had a team dedicated. We had, or we used to do on the QE side. We had our core QE team. There were a couple of engineers who had to were dedicated just for this maintenance of Jenkins. And again, from the production side, there was from the ops team. They had to maintain the Jenkins server. So so this in terms there were 3 or 4 personnels which are dedicated for just maintaining Jenkins servers. Those were not required anymore. They got involved in other projects, other important critical projects. Yeah.
And Sagar, Stephen asking, what was the cost of conversion, and when it will pay off ROI, like if you can say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The cost of conversion. Yes. So there was some cost involved in the sense that uh, there were few engineers which were dedicated. There were actually a team of about 10 or 12 engineers which were dedicated to educating the team as well as migration efforts. And we had to spend about good 3 to 4 months there. So I'm hoping that all this hours spent, right? All this hours spent, months spent, 3 or 4 months spent for migration. Overall, I feel that it will get will pay off within a matter of couple of years, I would say, at least, or at the most a couple of years. I'm not at least at the most couple of years. Yeah, it'll pay off.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we should probably wrap up for today. I'm going to stop the recording for right now. Thank you for attending.